So a common technique to use with screen recordings or other flat images to give it a little bit more depth is to use a 3D camera with a depth of field. Traditionally in DaVinci Resolve, we use a setup like this where you've got a 3D camera, you're merging your image onto an image plane, and you got a renderer node, or it's a video, whatever you're trying to add some depth of field to. You've got a focal plane set up over here for your 3D camera, and if I move my camera around, we can blur different parts of our images, but if you have done this before, you know just how slow this is. So there is a workaround to this that was shown to me by Mr. Pizza Blue that uses the DVE system. It is a bit more limited with what you can do, but it does run much faster and generates, I would say, fairly similar results. So big shout out to Pizza Blue. They have their own YouTube channel. They are extremely intelligent. If you want to learn the in and outs of Fusion, like really learn, like really learn, go show some love and give them a follow. So let's hop right into it. I have a screenshot of a web page here that I want to animate inside of Fusion. All I've done is I've merged it on top of a background node. So we have a nice square rectangular canvas, and I can move my image up and down on that background node. So like I mentioned, for the most part, when you want to do 3D stuff, you kind of have to use the 3D camera system, but most people are familiar with the DVE node. If you're not, now you are, and you're welcome. And if you didn't know, DVE, I believe, stands for Digital Video Effect. The more you know. In essence, the DVE node imitates 3D camera movements. So if I swap my preview over to this node here, I can rotate in the X, rotate in the Y, and I can change the Z depth position to resize and refit our nodes. This is great because we simplify that 3D camera chain over here, but we lose the ability to add those accumulation effects or that depth of field effect. So to regain that back, what we're going to use is the tilt shift blur node, tilt shift blur. An alternative to this could be the vary blur node, but we're going to stick with this node for now. And in essence, the way this is going to work is on our tilt shift blur node, we're going to change the map source to a second RGB input. Before we do that, we need to get that second input for this node. And this is where that tomfoolery from Mr. Pizza comes in. What we can do is we can take our DVE node and hit Control-C to copy, and then you can either right-click, paste instance, or hit Control-Shift-V. That creates an instance of our node. If you're unfamiliar with what instancing is, it's an exact duplicate or clone. So if I go to my instance node and I change the center position, you'll see it's changing the center position up above as well. Let me go ahead and reset that real quick. Now what we're going to do is we're not going to take an output from here and plug it in there. What we're going to do is we're going to add in a rectangle node, or you can go up to your toolbar and drag and drop it in. And we're going to take the rectangle node and put it into the primary input of our DVE, or the yellow input. Boop. I split my previews now, and I preview the instance node on the left. Any change I make to our image, we also change on our rectangle. All right, so stay with me now. We're almost there. What we're going to do is we're going to go to the tilt shift blur node. We're going to change the map source. This is the big one. Change the map source to second RGB input. At first, nothing happens, but if we take our instance DVE node and connect it to the green input of our tilt shift blur node. Now, if I switch to our preview of the tilt shift blur node by hitting 2, well, everything's blurred. Well, that's no good, but what we can do is we can take our focus sweep and pull it all the way to -1. And now we can see a clear outline of where our square, or our rectangle, is interacting with our image. If you want, you can actually preview the blur strength right here, and it should be an exact inverse of our instanced preview. So how do we make this look more good? Well, I'm going to uncheck the blur strength preview. What I'm going to actually do is I'm going to go to our rectangle node here and just add some softness to that edge. Oh, well, there we go. And now if I were to change the size here, and maybe I have it focus on this corner over here, now we've got some depth of field. In fact, I can increase the soft edge a whole schmackin' ton to really smooth out that blur. If I decrease that blur strength to something like 3, ooh, now that's not looking too shabby. There are a lot of settings that you can play around with, including the focus range, and you can kind of see how it adjusts our blur in this upper corner up top here. But now I should be able to rotate this around. And in fact, even if I were to keyframe our rotation, we're going to get much smoother playback compared to using the 3D camera system. Does it look perfect? I don't know. It's fine, right? But it is a great workaround for getting this all set up to run smoothly. Hope this helps you guys. And again, go check out Pete's channel. He's a genius. He's working on some really cool things on the back end. He's got some incredible tools for DaVinci Resolve. And until next time, I'll catch y'all soon. Peace.